In the summer of 1969, America was dreaming in color, peace signs, flower crowns, and the promise of a better future. But beneath that dream, a darker question was forming. How could love turn into slaughter? And more disturbingly, who is really responsible when ordinary people commit extraordinary evil? This is not just a story about murder. It is a story about influence, belief, and the terrifying power of ideas. At the center stands Charles Manson, a man who didn't wield the knife, yet whose words guided the hands that did. He preached freedom, unity, and enlightenment, while quietly constructing a worldview where violence felt justified, even necessary. The Tate LaBianca murders shocked the nation not only for their brutality, but for what they revealed about human vulnerability. How did a failed musician become a prophet to lost young people? Why did intelligent, seemingly normal followers abandon morality, law, and empathy? And why did America see its own fears reflected in this cult? Fears about youth rebellion, drugs, race, war, and the collapse of social order. This case shattered a comforting myth that evil looks obvious. Instead, it suggested something far more unsettling, that evil can sound poetic, feel loving, and arrive disguised as belonging. The Manson murders marked a cultural turning point. They didn't just end lives, they ended the innocence of an era. Hollywood no longer felt safe, counterculture no longer felt pure, and America was forced to confront a chilling realization. The greatest danger may not be monsters hiding in the shadows, but charismatic voices speaking directly into our need to belong. So the real question is not who killed, but why people followed. And more importantly, could it happen again? Because this story isn't buried in the past. It's a warning. It was the summer of 1969, a time of upheaval and contradiction. America was split. The counterculture preached peace and love, while the old guard watched in fear. The Vietnam War raged, cities mourned assassinated leaders, and the rules seemed to unravel. In Los Angeles, Hollywood's glamour masked a city on edge. Stars lived in luxury, but beneath the surface, unease simmered. The city was a magnet for dreamers and for darkness. The optimism of Woodstock clashed with riots and unrest. People searched for meaning, for someone to follow. In the shadows, a man named Charles Manson waited, ready to exploit the chaos. He saw the confusion, the longing, and the fear. He offered answers, a sense of belonging, and a twisted vision of salvation. The stage was set for a tragedy that would shatter the illusion of peace. The summer of love was about to end in blood, and the world would never be the same. Who was Charles Manson? Not a Hollywood insider, but a product of neglect and instability. Born in 1934 to a troubled mother, he bounced between relatives and reform schools. He learned to manipulate, to survive, and to charm. Most of his youth was spent behind bars, where he honed his skills in manipulation and absorbed fringe philosophies. Released in 1967, he entered the heart of the counterculture in San Francisco. The summer of love was in full swing, thousands of young people searching for meaning. Manson, with his guitar and hypnotic gaze, became their guru. He promised freedom from the establishment, a new way of living. He preyed on the vulnerable, offering them a family and a purpose. To the lost and lonely, he was a savior. But his salvation came with a price. He was a master manipulator, not a messiah. And soon, his followers would do anything he asked. He called them the family, a collection of lost souls, mostly young women, drawn to his charisma. They came from all backgrounds, united by alienation and a hunger for belonging. Manson gave them new names, new identities, and total dependence on him. Their journey led them to Spawn Ranch, a decaying movie set outside Los Angeles. There, Manson's control became absolute. He isolated them, broke them down, and rebuilt them in his image. Life at the ranch was a strange mix of free love and strict obedience. Manson preached for hours, blending Bible verses with Beatles lyrics, twisting them into prophecies of an apocalyptic race war, helter-skelter. He convinced his followers they would survive the chaos and rule the new world. Through drugs, manipulation, and psychological abuse, he erased their individuality. They believed he was a messiah. They became his instruments, ready to do his bidding. The family was complete, and Manson was ready to unleash them. August 8, 1969, Cielo Drive, Los Angeles. Sharon Tate, 8 months pregnant, hosted friends in her home. As night fell, 4 of Manson's followers, Tex Watson, Susan Atkins, Patricia Krenwinkel, and Linda Kasabian, arrived with deadly intent. Manson had given the order: destroy everyone inside, leave a sign. The violence began with the murder of Stephen Parent, an innocent visitor. The killers entered the house, unleashing a frenzy of brutality. Sharon Tate and her friends were slaughtered, their pleas ignored. The word pig was scrawled in blood on the door. The next morning, the city awoke to horror. The randomness and savagery stunned Los Angeles. No one felt safe, not even the rich and famous. The illusion of security was shattered. The fear was just beginning. The motive was a mystery, and the nightmare was far from over. One night of terror wasn't enough for Manson. Dissatisfied, he led his followers out again on August 10th. Their target, the home of Leno and Rosemary LaBianca, chosen almost at random. Manson and Tex Watson subdued the couple, tying them up. Manson left, sending in his female followers to finish the job. The LaBiancas were brutally murdered. Again, messages were scrawled in blood: death to pigs, rise, and helter-skelter. Manson bound his followers to him with shared guilt and violence. 2 nights, 7 dead, and a city paralyzed by fear. The killers seemed to strike at random, leaving only blood and cryptic messages. Los Angeles was under siege. Who would be next? The city was desperate for answers. Los Angeles was gripped by terror. The murders were random, brutal, and without clear motive. If celebrities weren't safe, no one was. Gun sales soared, parties stopped, and paranoia spread. The police were baffled, treating the murders as separate cases. The media frenzy fueled public panic. Rumors of satanic rituals and cults ran wild. The carefree spirit of the 1960s died overnight. It took months for police to connect the dots. The breakthrough came from a jailhouse confession. Susan Atkins bragged about the murders. Detectives traced the horror back to Spahn Ranch and its leader, Charles Manson. The phantom killers finally had a name and a face. The city exhaled, but the damage was done. The age of innocence was over. The Manson trial began in 1970, a spectacle of chaos and control. Manson and his followers disrupted court, carved X's into their foreheads, and maintained a chilling loyalty. The prosecution faced a challenge. Manson hadn't killed anyone himself. Linda Kasabian, the getaway driver, testified, revealing the family's inner workings. Despite Manson's theatrics, the evidence was overwhelming. In January 1971, Manson and his co-defendants were found guilty and sentenced to death. But in 1972, California abolished the death penalty. Their sentences became life in prison. The trial ended, but the questions lingered. How could one man wield such power? And could it happen again? Why did Manson order these murders? Prosecutor Vincent Bugliosi called it helter-skelter, after the Beatles song. Manson believed an apocalyptic race war was coming, and he would lead the survivors. He twisted Beatles lyrics into prophecies, convincing his followers they'd rule the world. When the war didn't start, he decided to ignite it himself. The murders were staged to look like black revolutionaries were responsible, hoping to spark chaos. It was delusion, paranoia, and a desperate grab for power. Manson wanted fame, control, and infamy. The crimes were calculated acts of terror, not random violence. The motive was as chilling as the murders themselves. The Manson murders left a scar on America. They ended the 1960s dream of peace and love, replacing it with fear and suspicion. The word cult became synonymous with danger. Manson showed how charisma could turn lost souls into killers. Trust evaporated. Paranoia took its place. Even decades later, the shadow of the family lingers. Manson died in prison, but his legacy endures in books, films, and nightmares. The case fascinates because it exposes our deepest fears, the power of belief, the fragility of society. It's a cautionary tale about the darkness behind a smiling face. The line between devotion and destruction is thin. The California dream became an American nightmare, and the questions raised in that summer of '69 still haunt us today.